Hi, I'm Irene Tansman, author of AB and Arlene's Autism War. If you have a loved one enrolled in a rehabilitation facility in Massachusetts, or you're considering rehabilitation for your loved one with IDD, or you yourself are enrolled in a rehabilitation facility in Massachusetts, please consider joining the Rehabilitation Families in Massachusetts Facebook group. Today, I'd like to talk to you about VOR, the voice of reason. And for those of you who live in Massachusetts, we have a VOR chapter called COFAR, the Coalition of Families and Advocates. I will place links to the websites of these organizations in the YouTube description. I'd like to tell you why I support these organizations and why I'm a member. The two most important issues to me in the IDD community are, number one, abuse and neglect of individuals served in the system. Number two, lack of choices for services for those with severe disabilities and/or complex medical conditions. There have been two serious DDS investigations unit confirmed cases of abuse regarding my son, Isaac. When I say cases, I don't mean incidents. Each case represents multiple incidents. As the administrator of the Rehabilitation Families in Massachusetts Facebook group, I hear many stories from our members. It seems rare for a person with severe IDD in the system in Massachusetts not to have experienced neglect or abuse at one time or another. Abuse and neglect appear to be rampant in the system. My Massachusetts viewers may be very familiar with Nicky's Law. This law created a registry so that confirmed abusers cannot be recycled back into the system only to abuse someone else at a different private provider agency. While Nicky's Law was a triumph, unfortunately, I believe that it's just a baby step in reducing the rampant abuse and neglect of individuals served in the DDS system. Some people believe that raising the wages of direct support professionals will reduce abuse and neglect. While the DSPs deserve to be paid fairly, and this would definitely be an advantage, I don't believe that it will substantially reduce abuse and neglect of individuals in the system. In Massachusetts, we spend over $100 million for executive pay for private provider executives. And the budget for DDS service coordination and administration, which is supposed to be overseeing the private providers, is about $80 million. Abuse and neglect should be rare for the money we're spending. We must change from a system that does oversight via paperwork and meetings to a system that holds private providers accountable for abuse and neglect and relies more on physical oversight rather than looking over paperwork. If both the provider's executives and the Department of Developmental Services conducted unannounced physical oversight, in other words, they look to see what's happening in their programs, I believe we would see a sharp reduction in abuse and neglect. Now, I don't believe that the organization, and I won't mention the name of this organization, but you know what it is. The organization that a lot of people are putting their faith into. That organization is financially supported by private provider agencies and in some cases is the private provider. I don't believe they'll hold private providers accountable in this way. I don't believe that an organization who has very close ties with the trade associations like the ADDP will ever hold the private providers accountable. And I don't believe that an organization that has such a close relationship with the Department of Developmental Services will ever hold private providers and their executives accountable. For this, we need an organization without those conflicts of interest. And that organization is VOR and locally is COFAR. For families who have a loved one with severe autism or IDD, or someone whose loved one with IDD also has a complex medical condition, and they're coming into the situation. The situation for appropriate placements coming into the system is dire and has gotten worse over the last 10 years or so. Basically, the private providers do not want to accept those individuals with severe challenges into their programs. It is just too difficult for the private providers, and they have options to admit easier to serve folks. Families often hear the phrase, quote, "the provider is not picking up the packet." VOR and COFAR they advocate for a continuum of care and for choices for those who fit in this category. Now, my son is in community-based services, and I'm a strong advocate for community-based services, community-based instruction, and inclusion. But it seems to me that it's wrong to say everybody should be served in the community and then deny service or service choices because the individual is too impaired. Now, I hope you all consider joining both VOR and COFAR. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Thank you for watching my video, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.